Story 5. The horrid and dangerous jobs people had in local industries. Now, Halton was a quiet rural backwater mostly, but it had some local industries. Those included tanning to produce leather for footwear, leather for household goods, and leather for saddlery for agriculture. Tanning and tanneries were particularly horrid places, grossness warning. The process involved vast amounts of animal skins which had to be washed. That you soaked the skins in for months. You dipped them in salt, that was okay. But then you scraped off the hairs. And then you pounded them in poo or maybe sheep's brains. Ugh! The workplaces were always near a brook and in the poorest and dampest outskirts of a town or village. People who didn't work there, well, they probably didn't want to go there anyway, but other people wouldn't want to go there because it was stinky. And unless you'd got business there buying the stuff or whatever, it might be that you could catch diseases carried by the animal skins that were being treated. The skins had to be washed and dyed, all sorts of things going on. The brook that the tannery was by would carry away the nasty effluent to the river. Now, tanning was really important in Runcorn, and it was here that leather for many of the boots of the armies were made, including, it said, for Wellington's armies at Waterloo in 1815. And there was so much leather because of all the dairy farms of Cheshire. The hides came from there to Runcorn. Now, it was known that alkalies, so soda ash or potash, could be used as a substitute for some of the nasty processes. Instead of all that wee poo sheep's brains, you could apply this white odorless powder. You had to be careful using it. There's a link in the notes to some of the methods explaining this, sites explaining that. But imagine if you were a tannery worker, would you think of this new white soda ash that could take away some of the stink and horrors of that job you were doing? That image is Highfield Tannery, Runcorn, from Britain from the Air. Leather was a major employer locally until the 1960s. And also in Halton, there was soap making. The details of this are coming in later stories as well, but some of this is useful with this story. It had been made with the ash from seaweeds or wood. As in the Nicola Blanc story, it's told this was scarce and soap was often poor quality and smelly, gritty stuff. If soda ash could be made commercially, then that would be good for the enterprise of making soap, make it much more pleasant to work there and much more pleasant to have a wash and be clean. So soda ash could be of benefit for the people making the soap, the people using the soap. And there was the glass industry local to Halton, which was in St Helens. Its raw material was mostly sand. Sand, when it's heated by charcoal or coal, melts to liquid glass, and then the glass can be set to make vessels or window panes or whatever. It was known that if soda was added to the sand, then the sand would melt at a lower temperature. It would use less coal. The glass would be made more easily, less expensively, less smoke, and the glassmaker's job would be less horrid. It wouldn't be as hot in the glassworks. Soda could be brilliant. If you're a glass worker, you'd think it was fantastic. There were weavers all around the area making cloths at hand looms in the villages around Widnes, villages like Daresbury, though there were big factories working cotton cloth developing in the Manchester area. Woven cloth would need to be bleached, otherwise it would look dull. Now, previously to bleach the cloth, it was dipped in a bleaching agent, very stale wee. It was pounded by foot in big buckets for a long time, then pegged out on tent hooks in fields to dry and be bleached a little bit more by the sun. So imagine now using soda ash. No wee. If you have to pound it with your feet, it's not as horrid and less smell. Wouldn't that be lovely? So we've seen how the use of soda reduced the need for coal and it made jobs cleaner. How can we reduce our fossil fuel dependence and carbon footprint today? That's something that the class might like to think of. How can we make manufacturing work better with less pollution? And looking locally, one of the changes is that Fiddler's Ferry power station's closing and it burnt coal, producing carbon dioxide to the air. What's the future for a clean electricity supply beyond coal and other fossil fuels?